nothing if you didn't see nothing.
Action!
Howdy y'all, Shaggy here. So today we're going to be reviewing a 2011 Ninja 650R, also known in Europe as an ER6F, the ER6, and the EX6. It has there's a few different names based on where it's located, but in America, we're going by Ninja today. So, a little history lesson. They introduced this to replace their Ninja 500R, which was their commuter sports bike, sport touring. That's kind of what started it. But once they noticed with Suzuki had the SV650 in the 90s, they figured, hey, it's time to update. It's an untapped market. So they brought this in, they gave fuel injection, they gave it a bump in power, and a good amount of torque. So that being said, let's go into some specifications. So it's got a 180-degree parallel twin. It has about 70 horsepower and 48 pounds-foot of torque. Gives it enough push, you have torque all around where you need it, and that's what made it really beneficial for everyone to buy. It was a good all-arounder bike. They sell great everywhere. It's a very reliable bike. So let's take a look at the bike while we're here. Let's go look at some cool designs that really made me fall in love with this. So come here real quick. I'm going to show one thing you'll get on a whole lot of sport bikes is, yes, this isn't the best of a race bike. A race bike wouldn't do a design like this, but it's just something really cool that makes you go, wow, that's a really neat idea. I like that. So with this also being a sport touring though, one thing I like to address is, and it's pretty much a big thumper the way that the crankshaft is designed, is they tried to take out as much vibration as possible by giving you these rubber pegs and such so that way it reduces it. In fact, there's a lot of bushings wrapped around where the engine is just to numb out as much vibrations as possible. To give you an idea, with all that added, it does add a lot of extra weight. So this bike, wet, full fluids, coolant, oil, gas, so on and so forth, it weighs about 460 pounds. That's a lot of weight, but that's what makes it such a nice cruisable sport bike. It's not, like I said, it's not a super sport, but it's a sport touring. It's very comfortable in that manner. Now, if we talk about the overall span of the Ninja 650's years, so it came out in 2006, 2008. It shared a lot of resemblance with the 500 with some of the basic features, if you will, that it came with. So like, when we hit 2009, 2011 for this generation specifically, it was the first time we got a digital gauge cluster. So originally, if you can come in and show you here, so originally it had simple analog. In fact, this is the only one before the 2017 that went to all digital. They went on and off, so 2006, 2008 it was analog, they went to digital for 2009, 2011, 2012 to 2016, they went to digital and analog, and then now just straight digital, and cut out a lot of weight, mind you. But if you're looking for that budget intermediate bike or even beginner bike, this is the one for you. I really think so. Now, enough talking about specs and going into detail. Let's take it for a ride.
Alright, so starting on this lovely drive we have going on here. So just want to talk about how this thing rides so far. So from the factory it had really ridiculously high handlebars, and I got them a little lowered because my hands were like out here. Going wrong, if you want to be comfortable, that's one way to go, but I need something just a little aggressive. But as we're riding here with the big single seat, it's very cushy, pretty comfortable, and right now we're just cruising. I haven't got a care in the world. Now up ahead we're going to hit a little bit of twisties and show just what kind of handling this thing can do. Now, one thing I've always read about from other 650 owners is they're telling me when they hit track days, a lot of times you can push these things a little bit harder on the turns than you can at 650. It's kind of like that hot hatch meant for the back roads. It's good at handling, but you're not going to get the top speed on the guys. That's just kind of how things roll. Gear change is pretty smooth. You can get in a little low there. It's a nice ride. It's easy to handle. It's definitely something that I think a beginner could hop on. And as I always love and hate saying from new riders is, oh, well, I need something I can grow into. And that, I think this is a bike that you could definitely grow into. it's something you're going to learn some basic maintenance on. It's going to be at a higher level than your average Ninja 250 or 300 to be. Yeah, it's a fun bike to ride. It's got enough torque to where you can pull out of things. Handles greatly. I mean, I think all around it's a good all-arounder. That's just sometimes the problem with all-arounders is us Americans don't like those apparently. We want fast, give us fast. We want a cruiser, give us a cruiser. And you can fill the rest in on that. But I mean, even though, excuse me, I'm sorry, even though Kawasaki tried to put all the bushings on it, the weighted handlebar ends, all from the factory to smooth out the vibrations, there's no denying that you have clearly a parallel twin right in between your legs. You can definitely feel the thumping, especially when you hit about 6,000 RPMs, which is right around when the the rev range starts to get a little more active, if you would. The power band starts to creep up. That's where its happy area is, if you would. No, it's not as aggressive as a 600, but once again, that's where your mid-range is. This bike's designed for that.
Hey, so I want to apologize. Unfortunately, doing the recording on the highway, the mic decided to not really work with us and crap out, so I'm going to continue from here. One thing I did want to bring up and talk about was how this bike behaves on the highway. Is due to being a 650 Sport Touring, it's manageable, but in some ways it doesn't like it. For example, so as you can see, it cruises around at 4,000 RPMs, around like 65 miles an hour, around there. However, once you get about 80, if you're to cruise that speed, it's in the power band. It's a $6,000 the whole time. It can be kind of annoying. That's just kind of how it is with the gearing. The last thing I want to go into here in regards to its power band on the highway is, thankfully, with its power band being so short, if you would, you can be in 6th gear on the highway and just roll into it and quickly get up and go. Yes, if you need to, you can quickly downshift to accelerate out of situations, but it has enough torque to get around. Also, with the way it behaves on the highway here is, due to the aggressive handlebars on it, you could probably ride this for about 3 hours or so. I wouldn't go any more than that. My back was starting to get sore after riding from that point. It's not as bad as a Super Sport, and it's not as good as a cruiser. That's partially due to the nature of it being a Sport Touring. That's why I really do think this is a good all-rounder bike. Alright, well, and that's our Ninja 650R review. I appreciate you guys stopping by and watching. Thanks, and have a good one. Peace out, y'all.